Hello lovelies! Today we're taking a look at Ash Wednesday. This is the 2002 film starring Elijah Wood, Edward Burns, and Rosario Dawson. This is a very interesting multi-genre film. You have the mobster elements, you have a lot of high drama, action, mystery, a bit of neo-noir. So it's a fun little watch. It opens with an implied sequence at the beginning of the film. There's talk about money owed. I imagine the gentlemen who are talking are bookies, and the next thing we know, we cut to a scene where there's a young man in a confessional asking for forgiveness for something that he's done. So from there we skip to 3 years later, and I love the way the storytelling was handled and how everything unfolds. Basically the whole premise here is, or what gets the ball moving is, we have this character Whitey, who is the main guy in this Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. The events at the beginning of the film took place in 1980, so we've now skipped to 3 years later, and this guy who went missing is now supposedly back from the dead, and his brother Francis is basically being called to figure out what's going on. So he's going around investigating, asking some people, asking around, and it's during these scenes that we actually get the story. So we get a feel for the neighborhood, the people of the neighborhood, what kind of people they are. And I love this way of storytelling. Everything just unfolds and you're left to draw your own conclusions, make your own decisions, rather than just having the story spoon-fed to you. Sorry. And he basically comes to the decision that no, his brother Sean has not come back from the dead. He has no idea what these kooks are talking about. It's very likely just some guy that looks very similar to his deceased brother. And upon his arrival home, we discover, no, Francis is just a liar. Sean is there in flesh and blood. And he had faked his death. We discover gradually throughout the film why. That's not near until the mid-mark, but we also find out that young Sean has also left behind a wife and child. So while he was off pretending to be dead, unbeknownst to his brother, is actually making friendly with Sean's wife, the widow, who was in grief. And unfortunately, Sean's wife, Grace, grew to care about Francis when, you know what, things happen, I suppose, but no one tells Sean this. No one told Grace that Sean was actually alive. So Francis was lying to both sides, knowing exactly what he was doing, which makes him seem pretty scummy in my book. Not a very good person, but when he's asked if he had been messing with his younger brother's wife, he pretty much pulls the defensive move, hey, you're not supposed to talk that way about your wife, which, okay, fair enough, but answer the question. No, he just changes the subject. So during all of this stuff going on, Grace gets wind of this, that people are talking that Sean's back, and she's obviously upset. She is now a single mother, and she's been raising this child on her own for 3 years. So she doesn't like the idea of people saying that he's back when he can't be, but there's still that curiosity. So she kind of has her own little, I guess, what would you say, interrogation that she's doing with certain people. So things eventually do come to light, and Grace finds out that yes, her husband is alive, and she has this crisis of faith, I suppose you could say. She's a Catholic, and of course the film being called Ash Wednesday, it takes place on that day, so we have numerous scenes with actors with the ashen crucifix upon their forehead. She's obviously I would say a devout Catholic. She has this morality crisis, faith crisis, where she's asking the priest, do I tell my husband what happened? And she pretty much just says, if I had known, no, I wouldn't have done that. But do I tell my husband? And then Sean wants her to run away with him because they can't stay there. They've got everybody breathing down their backs over something that happened 3 years ago, which we still don't quite know about yet until near into the film. And she's got this issue. She's in love with her brother-in-law. She was unfaithful to her husband unknowingly, and she knows she wasn't a good wife, but is she going to be honest and follow her husband? Is she going to be honest and tell her husband about this discretion? She's advised to spare Sean's feelings and not say anything. So the interesting thing here is the priest himself. He has his own little dark past about how he fell into the priesthood and fell into this line of work, and why he works with a certain type of person or has certain dealings. So he's got a bit of clout himself. He's not an innocent here. And once again, I just really love the way the characters were developed. You find out about them gradually throughout the film, scene through scene. Not really through their actions, but discussions that other characters have about said person, or discussions they have with other persons. And I think it's a very clever way to build a character and move a story along. It's a very well done film. It's intriguing. It held my interest. I really don't want to tell the ending here, but it is kind of hard. So pretty much we have a lot of family drama also. We find out that Francis is resentful towards his younger brother Sean because he feels that Sean was the favorite, that Sean was encouraged to go off to college and better himself because he was the better of the two brothers. Francis feels that he was pulled into the family business because he just couldn't do any better. So he did this dirty work with their father, just taking care of people, politely stated, doing things that maybe a young man shouldn't have to do. Meanwhile, someone gets to have a normal life. So you can kind of see where some of the resentment comes in here. You can maybe see to a degree why maybe Francis possibly manipulated the situation between Sean's wife in order to take advantage of that situation as well. It's all speculation. Like I said, the film leaves you to draw your own conclusions and read between the lines, which I really like, and that's what I read into it. But eventually there's this issue where Sean and Francis have these mobster guys breathing down their backs, which pretty much from the beginning when Sean resurfaced, everybody wants to know what's going on. And Sean refuses to leave Hell's Kitchen without his wife, Grace. So that's where her crisis is. She was unfaithful. And does she really want to leave with a man that she's not really sure that she still loves? A man who just kind of disappeared and poof. Which I imagine from a very religious person's standpoint, that is extremely difficult. And then from an emotional side, there's just a whole other bag of mixed worms in there. So a plan is devised so that people can get out safely. And then we have a bit of a double cross. So I really don't want to go into too much detail there. I want to encourage you guys to watch this film. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good film. I thought it was a smart film. If you've seen this, please share your thoughts. If you decide to check it out, let me know what you think. But that is all I have for you guys today on this one, and I will talk to you later.